Dollar. Dirt on money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back with a new Nick Crowley. We got Mr. Swirl, the internet's most disturbed user. You know anything about this one?
I've never heard of a Mr. Swirl.
But we do be coming across because so many creators now that does.
Oh, is that the little
What?
No.
The little what?
That's not the little toilet thing. Okay.
But
you are so extra. You could just say yes or no.
I don't know what you're talking about. For what?
Okay.
I'm honestly over here lost to understand.
Okay, well, obviously I'm lost too. No, I don't know what.
But only thing I was gonna say is because since we do so many, I have watched even on our personal time so many creators who do like internet mysteries, internet stories when it comes down to crime and criminal stuff that possibly have heard about them. Just this could be a different twist to it. So with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box
down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it in with a thumbs up.
But with that being said, ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about, y'all. Let's get it. Thailand.
Pattaya, Thailand. Two young brothers enter a local internet cafe, take their seats, and begin playing their favorite games. One boy was 13, and the other just 8. And together, they sat there and played the way they always did, getting lost in their screens, wasting the day away, until one of the boys felt a tap on his shoulder. Standing there beside them was a similarly aged child, a stranger to the boys, but a friendly one who strikes up a conversation and eventually poses an offer. According to the unnamed child, he had a friend who lived close by that owned a special computer, one far better than the device they were currently using, and one that had any game you could ever dream of playing. And he was headed to that friend's home right now, but he didn't want to go alone. It was an offer that the boys just couldn't refuse, and considering the child was clearly around their age, they saw no red flags and agreed to go with him.
That's how they be getting them nowadays. Like a lot of times they don't even send adults anymore. They done got some kids that got trapped into whatever. What year was it?
19 something.
I thought it was 2000s.
Oh, was it 2000? I was just looking at the picture.
Oh, my bad.
It probably was 2000.
I can't remember.
My
Sorry.
bad.
But because I seen a chick. You know about her, but I've told you about her before. She went to the same college I went to. She lives in Atlanta now. But I forgot to tell you about it. But she said even she was in a grocery store where she's at now, and she was talking. It was her how old is her daughter? Like 1. And she said this guy was following him. He could look like he's about 16 years old. I'm stumbling because I want to tell you who it is, but because I know you know about him. But just remind me to tell you. But and she ended up confronting him. She posted a video. She had recorded a video.
The guy was following her and her daughter?
Yeah. And he had a camera in his hand recording them, but he also had in his bag in the back a camera that's in the backpack, a phone, and then but the camera will face it towards. Yeah. So like, say for instance, he turned around.
Yeah, it was facing like this.
Yeah. So I'm saying, basically, I can record, and she was like, I know. She confronted me, said, I know what you're doing. You're trying to record me, and you're recording like that, so you know what I'm saying. And then he just took off running. But he looked like he was about 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, they keep getting younger and younger, and they already got you, and they done manipulated you.
Right.
And now you out here doing this and not psychologically knowing because you're so brainwashed. So you going out here recruiting others too.
True.
So they are setting, it's getting bad, bro. Swirl gets crazier and crazier over time. And honestly, as society gets smarter, unfortunately, criminals get smarter. And that's the sad reality of it.
Following the boy to a nearby apartment building, then up 7 flights of stairs and into a dark room. But waiting for them inside that room wasn't some sort of supercharged computer, and it surely wasn't a friend of the boys. And instead, it was a monster in every sense of the word. A depraved soul who, years down the line, would go on to become one of the most notorious predators ever to walk this earth, an entity known only at the time as Mr. Swirl. And these children had just fallen into his trap.
Pedophile who has been the subject of a worldwide manhunt.
Who's now at the heart of a global manhunt.
Repeated abuse of a dozen or more underage computer software to obscure his own face in the picture.
It's unclear if they knew what they were looking for, or if they had just happened upon it by pure chance. But in 2004, German police entered a long-forgotten storage unit, where beneath the piles of junk and old appliances, they'd unearth a single hard drive. Once plugged into the computer, the device revealed hundreds of images, some showing various locations, breathtaking scenery, delicious meals, and CP. The images showed scenes of depraved sexual abuse being done to individuals who were clearly minors, with this abuse being far worse than you'd ever imagine. And it wasn't just one child either, as across that hard drive seemed to be evidence of multiple separate instances of abuse, including images of 3 young boys taken in a dark apartment building. The discovery was horrid, though sadly all in a day's work for investigators who encountered things of this nature on a daily basis, and it's a discovery that likely would have never been discussed by the media after that one day had it not been for one unusual detail. Typically, in cases involving CP, those taking the photographs and performing the actual abuse will almost always go out of their way to ensure that they aren't shown on camera. That way, if authorities should stumble upon it, they would essentially be unidentifiable. However, the dozens of photos found on this particular hard drive were different. Because rather than hiding just out of frame like all the other predators seemed to do, the man behind these images had instead gone out of his way to ensure he was featured within them, shamelessly inserting himself into every single picture, even posing for them, before, during, and after he had changed the lives of these kids forever. And although his entire body was shown in these photographs, the only thing hiding his identity was the addition of a single effect, one that swirled the man's face into a distorted pixelated mess, making him completely unrecognizable, and leaving his face to look like this. There was something so disturbingly arrogant about it, a man posing with his victims while destroying their lives, hiding behind only a single swirl of color, almost as if he was taunting any investigators who might eventually find these images. And given the clear indications that this man was obviously a serial abuser, and likely still out there offending, tracking this anonymous figure down became priority 1 for law enforcement in the area. And it's there that he would be given his nickname, Mr. Swirl. And with this swirl being the only thing standing in the way of investigators getting to see his face, most would have assumed that identifying him would be a walk in the park. However, this was far from the case. As the images began to be dissected, it quickly became apparent that deciphering the sensor was going to be far more difficult than initially thought, and potentially even impossible, as the pixels had been scrambled in such a unique way that there wasn't any known method to unscramble it.
You remember that one story? Nah, it couldn't be him. The one that was a teacher. Because he looks like he possibly a teacher. And he's going, alright, I'm gonna just let this, I gotta listen to the story. So you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You didn't hear too many stories.
I really have.
And quickly, what should have been their most valuable clue, the one that stood so tantalizingly close, became a lost cause, leaving investigators at their first dead end. Realizing that things were about to get much more difficult, the German police enlisted the help of an agency known as Interpol, an international crime-stopping organization with a special unit dedicated to resolving crimes against children. Interpol immediately began to get to work, attempting to decipher the photos in a different way, this time by using context clues in the pictures to track down where exactly they were taken, which in turn could tell them where this man was from and where the abuse was taking place. But this too unearthed yet another problem. The first batch of images was discovered to have come from Cambodia, but the next showed evidence that the man was in Vietnam, and then in Thailand, and potentially even South Korea as well. Rather than gaining clarity, the locations of these images instead made the search even wider, as the man was seemingly traveling from country to country, committing his crimes and then fleeing, thus never staying long enough for law enforcement to catch up with him, making it completely unclear to investigators where he was actually from. And given just how vast his travels were, at this point, it was realized that Mr. Swirl could be anywhere, a moving target, so to speak, and an active one as well.
That's crazy.
During the investigation, which would later be dubbed Operation Vico, in reference to Vietnam and Cambodia, which seemed to be the main sites of his abuse, investigators made a disturbing discovery: that Mr. Swirl's photographs were not exclusive to just that hard drive, as photo after photo began to appear on various online forums, with all of them featuring that disturbed, swirling face. The images were shared across the web seemingly straight from the man himself, and were sent out to various predatory groups that were filled with individuals just as sick as he was. Within these groups, it was considered a badge of honor to show your body and face within the content you made, thus leading to the sender becoming well respected among his peers, which showed us two things. One, that this was likely the reason why Mr. Swirl inserted himself in these photos, as it had led to him becoming a beloved member of their twisted community, in turn granting him access to all the CP he could want. And two, that the images found on the hard drive did not account for his whole body of work, as in these chat rooms and forums, police would find far more photos featuring their suspect, raising the total from a few dozen to nearly 300. By this point, Mr. Swirl had been untraceable. Authorities were essentially searching for a ghost, and though these new images must have felt like a gut punch at first, they would eventually prove to be integral to their investigation, as for the first time in their hunt, Mr. Swirl had made a key error. Within these,
I bet you any money he didn't gave a name, a hint to, because he also moving very cocky.
Yeah, most definitely.
He got too much confidence in somebody who, but also to me, from just the pictures of it, it's either look like, I don't know, but he does look Caucasian or European descent. You know what I'm saying? Predominantly a white male or possibly a first-skin Asian male. But I can't distinguish. I just know the skin, his skin complexion is very pale. Pale-like. So, man.
In my head, I'm like, what era? Like, because you've been doing this for so long.
And getting away with it.
And
having the evidence, but like, oh, you can't.
Like, but no one can actually, because you're moving.
Yeah.
You're like, what could you have done?
And I hope it ain't nobody, because it said the internet's most disturbed user. But I don't know if it's somebody we didn't heard about before or somebody that's.
These postings, Mr. Swirl had forgotten to hide his IP address, in turn revealing the general area in which they had been sent, with the location being Vancouver, Canada.
What?
This break revealed the key detail that he had some sort of tie to Vancouver, and that he was likely a sex tourist, someone who travels to countries that have loose laws around their age of consent in order to be able to abuse children without any repercussions.
Shut up, bro.
Boy, that makes you think
about that?
What?
It being the IP, like not so.
No.
Like,
I wasn't thinking the IP.
It went to my head first. It like legit.
Real?
It went to my head, but then I was like, "You've been doing it this long. I would think that you would
know like certain things."
That is so crazy.
But what is the laws in Canada? From this, it got me really thinking because of the. I ain't trying to associate that with this, but you know what I'm saying. Now it makes you really wonder what kind of laws. You know what I'm saying? That's
sick. That's sick.
With Mr. Swirl clearly doing the same thing, visiting multiple countries in Asia, making his material, coming home, and then sharing it with his friends. It certainly didn't solve the case, but it was finally a step in the right direction. And unbeknownst to the team working on Operation Vico, they were quickly approaching an even bigger revelation. As authorities were working hard on pinning down Mr. Swirl's location, some members of the team held on hope that the images themselves could still be unscrambled, and upon digging a bit deeper, one member of the team would actually recognize the swirl as having come from a fairly standard editing program, which revealed something. The swirl effect wasn't like a typical sensor or blur. Those effects completely mask or even remove the pixels from the actual photograph, making them nearly impossible to decipher. But this effect did neither of those things, and instead it simply rearranged the pixels of the man's face into a swirling pattern, meaning that this image still contained all of its original pixels, and Mr. Swirl's face was somewhere in this picture. They just had to piece it together. And so, in what must have felt like a Hail Mary at the time, an investigator put one of the images into that very same editing software, then clicked that very same swirl effect, and simply reversed it. Which in turn led to this.
You dumb ass.
In an investigation that started all the way back in 2004, finally, Mr. Swirl's face was revealed.
2004.
Yeah, he had said it earlier. But I guess on that, whatever that little image, I don't know what I was looking at. But yeah, 2004, he said.
With a single click, a whole 3 years later, confirming not only what the man looked like, but also that it was truly just one man behind the swirl. And now, all they had to do was find him. Interpol first started their search by sending this man's image to every single police station the network had access to, asking if anyone across the world had a criminal in their database who might match this photo, but this attempt would fall flat, indicating that whoever this man was, he likely had no prior criminal record. Time was clearly of the essence, and they knew that with every waking moment, Mr. Swirl could be adding to his list of growing victims. And wanting to act fast, Interpol made a fairly unprecedented decision. They reached out to every single major news outlet across the world and asked them to show this man's face on their broadcast to help bring this predator to justice. Additionally, the images of Mr. Swirl's face were also plastered in all corners of the internet, and within just one day, the story was quite literally everywhere. What started as a small search for an anonymous man had become an international manhunt overnight. And within just hours, Mr. Swirl would be anonymous no more.
Whoa.
Our top news story this hour, the worldwide search for a suspected pedophile is concentrated in Thailand this morning. We now know the suspect is a Canadian. The CBC's Michael McAuliffe reports from Bangkok.
This morning, Interpol announced they now believe they know who the man is. He's been identified as a Canadian. 32-year-old Christopher Paul Neal.
His name is Christopher Paul Neal. Not only did Neal's face and body match perfectly with Mr. Swirl, but he also had grown up just outside of Vancouver where the IP was tracked to. And he had moved from country to country across Asia in recent years, countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, and Thailand. The resemblance was so undeniable that even one of his own family members came forward to help identify him. Christopher Neal was in fact Mr. Swirl, a discovery that came with some disturbing revelations. As it turns out, Christopher Neal was actually working as a children's English teacher, a job
Yes, we've heard of his story. He was a teacher and he was literally... Yes.
You probably heard of it, but I haven't.
No, we watched something. Bro, we watched so much and it's getting out of hand.
It's not getting out of hand.
Because it's to the point where you just...
I guess it's...
You bunching so much stuff up.
And I also think sometimes when we watch other things, we don't get like full details. It just be like the back end of the story. Yeah. And so when everything is being put together, I really don't.
But I don't know if we reacted to it or just watched
or watch something. I can't,
because we actually watch stuff as well. That's the reason why now we trying to like, instead of like watching stuff that we
normally watch,
we just be like, hey, let's just react to it, just so like,
other people into it. Yeah, you know.
But we watch so much, man. It's so much out here, bro. But yes, I remember it was a teacher that was in Asia and that was doing,
He had held in each of the countries he was discovered to have abused young boys in, making it likely that he used this position of power to lure in children from his classes to eventually abuse them and share their photos online. Along with this, it was also revealed that he had used his relationships with young boys to help lure in other children for him to assault. As looking back on the story that started this video, he had recruited a clueless child he knew to lure those two brothers back to his apartment.
Wow.
This discovery also shined a spotlight on his social media pages, and specifically his MySpace page, where he chillingly wrote, "Loving Asia, will I ever come back?" while in the midst of his abuse spree. But for me, one of the most shocking revelations was that those images that he had posted during the investigation weren't actually posted to his computer. At some point in the early 2000s, Neil had stopped home for a brief vacation to visit his family, and while there, he decided to upload all of his CP to his internet friends. But rather than using his personal device or a public computer, he instead broke into his own brother's laptop and uploaded his content there. That way, the images would be tracked to his brother and not him, which explained why he never bothered to hide his IP address. The more they learned, the more...
Was he possibly trying to set the brother up? You gotta watch people like this too. Your own family will try to come and try to set you up too.
Setting up or just covering his tail, like.
Because they did say they actually had the same resemblance, a similar resemblance. So even if you might try to look for him, you might end up trying to look for the brother.
Yeah.
So he was trying. Sorry, y'all. That's like how many? Sound like a group of them.
It do sound like a group of them.
But it's more of the like if y'all try to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry, y'all. Let's just get back into it. Sorry.
Why he never bothered to hide his IP address. The more they learned, the more disturbed the story became, as even at the time they discovered his identity, it was revealed that he had currently been working in South Korea as a teacher. But when the officers arrived to arrest the man, he was already long gone. Having certainly seen his face all over the news, Christopher made the decision to flee the country, being spotted in this image captured at an airport in Thailand, as he had flown to the country likely in an attempt to find refuge. Throughout the following days and weeks, his likeness would turn up time and time again in the country, indicating that he was somewhere in Thailand hiding out. And having cornered him in the region, it wouldn't take long for police to knock on the door of an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere, in which Christopher Neal happened to be hiding, bringing the multi-year search for Mr. Swirl to an end.
Dang. Man, no. You done did enough for that face covering.
What you said?
You done got away with it too much, bro. Over 300.
So many, like, come on now. No. Show your face.
Right. Y'all
Following his arrest by Thai police, Neal will be charged
and
for
you post all your pictures everywhere.
Right.
You brag. You literally brag. Why? I hate when folks want to do that. Like, I want to cover my face. I don't want people to see me. Show
yourself.
His assault on those 3 young boys from the internet cafe, as it was the only crime they could prove had taken place in their country, and with it carried a prison sentence of 5 years. Admittedly, the sentencing was light, but the plan was to have Neal turned over to Canadian authorities after he did his time in Thailand, where they would also prosecute him all over again, with the hope being that they could do the same thing with countries like Cambodia and Vietnam, and essentially force him to live out his life in prison. However, when the sentence was completed in 2012, and Christopher was deported back to Canada, the shocking decision was made to allow Christopher Neal to walk free.
Because Canada, again, every country, even in the U.S., every state has their own laws.
Yeah.
What might float in one state might not float in another state. You might can get away with certain things elsewhere. So don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Look what up?
Because I know you finna look something up pertaining to it. What you finna look up?
Not necessarily to this, but
what you finna try to see where you at today?
I'll look later.
But I'm saying like wait till the end. He might reveal it.
I was just about to look up some with Canada. I wasn't about to look up no with him.
Oh, like the laws. Oh, okay. I got you. But what I'm finna say, we really don't know how the jurisdiction laws is. They might say, hey, well, you served your time for it in in Thailand, so we're not going to convict you because you already served that.
But you like was going across different.
But nothing he ever did.
I guess
he did in Canada, but upload the images.
And then with him being just so like young going in, because what he said.
And then they probably
30
also this with them. They probably like we can't. I'm not saying this what happened. I'm not because some of y'all just
go
lack
ahead,
common sense. No, you know.
I know, but go ahead.
They also might not. They might say is take it like this. We can't necessarily deem that he was the one that uploaded the images because it came from his brother's IP address. So we don't know. Possibly his brother had uploaded those images. You know what I'm saying? So then it'll be like deemed as it's not he didn't do anything wrong here in our country, so we can't convict. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
So they might look at it that way. He didn't do anything wrong because we can't deem him as the one who uploaded the images using the IP address because the IP address necessarily.
But what about us like reversing like with your face and you the one in the picture?
Even though it's his photos, he hasn't committed a crime in Canada. All those crimes he committed was over in another country. So that other country, they got to do it on their end because he violated stuff in those. That's the reason why, like, say, for instance, you do something in Mexico, you come back. The U.S. cannot convict you for something you did in Mexico. You scot-free unless Mexico want a warrant, they want to extradite you. Mm-hmm. In Canada, there's no... He never broke a law in Canada. So Canada can't convict him for the crimes that he did. Only thing they would be able to convict him for is uploading the images. But then in that regards, because it wasn't his property, he could have been like, you can't, even a lawyer.
You can't determine that I was the one that uploaded the images. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
He gonna walk away scot-free.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It really does suck.
But laws are weird.
Christopher Neal to walk free. When Neal was detained in Canada, authorities let him walk under the condition that he would never own a device that connected to the internet again, as well as the agreement that he would stay away from parks, schools, and also register as a sex offender. I can't for the life of me understand why this decision was made, but from what I could gather, it seemed to center around the fact that his crimes were international, and that none of his other victims had actually come forward, meaning the other countries they had hoped would prosecute never actually bothered to pursue it.
Wow.
And because his crimes didn't happen on Canadian soil, not much could really be done, legally speaking. And so in the end, the hunt for Mr. Swirl ended up lasting almost as long as the sentence he served. And even after everything this man did, he was let loose and allowed to assimilate back into society.
For how long?
But this isn't where our story ends.
That's what I was going to say. With someone like this, the story don't end right there.
Like, you're not just going to stop. Like, I understand, you can't have...
It's deeply rooted. My bad. No, sorry.
Not, I was just about to say, it's like, you can have like a phone or a computer or tablet, whatever, anything that'll hook up to the internet, but that's still not going to stop or go near parks or schools or whatever the case may be. But if somebody like this is sick like this in the head,
yeah,
like, because that's disturbing, they're going to find a way. Mm-hmm. Some way, somehow. They'll start recruiting other people to be on the team to help them out.
The phone might not be registered to him.
Like, what? Anything.
Like, so y'all can't say deem, because they end up becoming smart. Once they
gonna find a workaround. Yeah. Like,
because you remember one time we watched the body cam video. I know you ain't gonna remember, but this person, it was like sometime last year. This person, they ended up checking their house, and they got arrested because they weren't supposed to have certain things, and they had evidence, and then they were already convicted for this type of conduct. And in the stipulation, they found him to be in possession of a cell phone, and he was like, "I can't have a cell phone nowadays without having a cell phone that can connect to the internet," which is almost true. There's no way you can have a phone nowadays, especially a cell phone, like even flip phones, they still make flip phones for, especially for older people, but a lot of those phones still connect to the internet.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to live nowadays without having access to the internet.
Yeah.
In any shape, form, or fashion. Even y'all smart TVs. We got a smart, well, I ain't checked all, but you access the internet with that. Sometimes some of them, you can access the internet web browser through it. You know what I'm saying? So what you want him to have a box TV? A lot of stuff ain't even equipment equipped for box TVs no more. You know what I'm saying? But he should have thought about that before he even did all this. That's on him. You lose your privileges for that.
Nobody care about what you.
No, I was just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. But that's
the right way to resolve this situation is if you like. It's also a mental problem as well. So he should have went to a psych ward or something. Let's give him some help, the proper help. Let's diagnose what is wrong with you. Something's wrong with you, because every time they get risk, I don't know, man. I have a problem. Something's wrong with me. Until you get away with it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. Nothing's mentally wrong with me. Then it'll be like something. No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm fine. But when you get caught, you mentally, man, something's wrong with, you know?
Yeah.
Weird nature, bro.
Not even a full year later in 2013, it would be uncovered that Christopher Neal had somehow managed to purchase a computer and also connect it to the internet, a clear violation of his conditions. And though he claimed it was just for writing a book about his life experiences, when investigators seized the device, they would, unsurprisingly, find even more CP, 25 images to be exact, including 2 with his signature swirling face. As it turns out, Christopher had been using the device to contact his fellow pedophile friends, where he would even message one of his disturbed friends right after his release, saying, "The swirl liveth still," proving without a shadow of a doubt that he was remorseless about his crimes and took pride in his new nickname. And somehow, the discovery got even worse from there, as it was revealed that a friend of his had shown him how to access the deep web and how to share these photographs in practically an untraceable way, thus allowing him to continue being active in these predatory groups, no matter what restrictions were placed on him. After Canadian police made this discovery, Christopher would yet again be arrested, and this time they had the chance to really send a message and put him away forever, as clearly letting him walk away the first time was a mistake, as he wasn't reformed even in the slightest. And so, to make up for this, the judge would give Christopher Neal the whopping sentence of just 5.5 years, with time served, meaning that he would only end up in jail for a little over 14 months.
Damn.
The prosecution praised the sentence as a win, and Christopher vowed to change his ways, but it just doesn't sit right that as of 2016, Mr. Swirl, the man responsible for dozens and dozens of instances of extreme child abuse, which by the way are just the ones that we know of, is a free man, now living a normal life in Vancouver. And worst of all, he now has access to share this material through untraceable avenues, meaning that there is a good chance that he could still be out there obtaining, sharing, and who knows, maybe even producing his content. The case of Mr. Swirl is such a frustrating one. For once, a case of this nature gained worldwide attention and was pursued by the full extent of the law, with the folks over at Interpol doing a fantastic job with the case, only for it all to be deflated once he was finally captured. And just knowing that he's out there living a normal life after all this, after all the lives that he's forever affected, makes this one of the most disheartening cases we've covered to date.
I ain't gonna hold you though.
Makes me sick to my stomach.
If he was in America, I don't think he would have made it out the prison system. If we can be real. On that type of level, doing stuff that he was doing at that level. You know what I mean?
Child, we got so many people living amongst us that are done.
No, I'm saying, but the exposure he got from it all. That's what I'm saying. Like when they become like a high profile on that type of.
I don't know what it is. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Because I say this when it's the typical people that they come back home, but when your face is plastered and you get notoriety for it to the point where like the inmates end up finding out. Oh, they make it a living hell for you. And sometimes they have in the past went down that route of you never, especially when the judge keeps slapping you just 5 years.
Yeah.
Somebody in there mad because they only got 5. They got 20 years for selling a little dope, and so they real pissed off because you get 5 years for doing that, but I got 20 years just for one occasion. I decided to sell some coke.
Cause I was in my head, I was like, it's people in prison for like other like.
Way less
things, whatever, however you want to look at it.
It's still harmful.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, you're out here committing crimes against kids. You're cocky about it. You're arrogant about it. And the fact that, like, they just keep, like, 5 years here, little 14 months here. Like, you getting out. You're like, oh, that's light work for me. They're going to continue to do it and do it and do it. Knowing that, I'm not going to either. I'm going to get a little time served or I'm going to get a little year or 2 years here. Or whatever the case may be.
He ain't gonna learn this. He's not learning his lesson. He's
never gonna learn.
No.
He's never gonna stop.
Never.
Until he die.
Actually, yeah. And honestly, the way the technology keeps getting like trickier and trickier, somebody is learning more and more. He's probably having foolproof where y'all can't find nothing.
At this point now, because then you have other people that's in these groups with
that's
you.
helping him.
They helping you. They looked up to you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They help you. They want to make sure
he was the big dog.
You
the big dog.
Like, come on now.
And the fact that you keep getting away with it too.
They like, oh, they really
because in their eyes, 5-year conviction is getting away with it.
And what's also so sick is that the fact that they learning what not to do and how to even be smarter from your mistakes.
And then the fact that this man still want to monetize off of by writing a book.
About to write a whole
what?
I sure forgot about that because he said that real, you know.
Yeah.
You about to write a whole book, bro. What you about to talk about in your book?
Bruh, sick, like, nasty.
Come on.
Hey, man.
You boasting about it.
That's exactly what he's doing, being boastful about the situation. Hey, man. Y'all spam us up, man. Let us know y'all thoughts for us about it in the comment section down below. Until next time, man. Y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are. We are.
Go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar.